Good morning, good morning, good morning. You already know what time it is. It's Wednesday, April 12th, 7:53 a.m. I just finished my second route of the morning. And, you know, I've been coming into some really great information, not just spiritual information, but also information that can help people understand the technological and the biological and chemical, situations that's going on when it comes to targeting. But look, I feel like I need to go ahead and testify this one point right here. When I tell you, the devil thought he had me. And it just came to me like as I'm pedaling down the block, and then it just started ringing to me. The devil thought he had me. Look, let me tell y'all something. I never been no violent person, and I never been no outright disrespectful person. I never been somebody who basically preys on anybody, really. I will admit to yes, I did some drugs in my life. Yes, I still drink alcohol. Yes, I probably don't go to church every day. Yes, I probably don't read the Bible every day. Yes, I probably don't, I don't evangelize or any, I'm not the most sanctified Christian. Hey, I don't even necessarily consider myself a Christian, to tell you the truth. Because I always like to bring up this one point where Jesus said, "Don't worship me, worship the Father." So Christianity in itself almost kind of shouldn't even be called Christianity when you think about it, because Christ never wanted people to worship him. All Christ wanted people to do is worship God. So look, when I tell you the devil thought he had me, let me tell you what my life was like before my targeting started, or at least before I came knowledgeable of my targeting. Quarantine, right? At this point, a lot of people, let me swing into this lane, because I know when I be trying to turn from this first lane, he ain't even trying to turn, because when I be trying to turn from that side lane, them cars from the left of me be acting like they don't see me trying to go straight. They ain't like, but anyway, getting distracted. So when I tell you quarantine, right? I've always been a hardworking person, and I've always been a good person. I've always been one to take one for the team, do the extra work that some people refuse to want to do. Even do other people's job if I needed to, because it made my job more efficient. So if I needed to, pull up my sleeves and get dirty, I'm that person. I wouldn't even really complain to nobody about it. I complain to myself or in my head, but I ain't never really been one to complain, right? So I didn't lose my job. I got furloughed. When I got furloughed from both of my jobs in hospitality, I was making good money, catering, bartending, all that. I ain't gonna lie to you. And look, I'm getting chills, so that's how I know I'm about to spit some truth at you. I basically spent so many hours just kind of almost really doing nothing, but just sitting around the house watching TV, and then almost about 4 or 5 times a day I'd probably go outside and smoke weed or whatever, because I didn't think I had anything else to do, right? So hold on a second. All right, so yeah, back to what I was saying, right? So yeah, like I told you, the devil thought he had me because I was at home. I wasn't really doing much but just watching TV, smoking and drinking, and it wasn't even like I wasn't looking for work or anything, because by that point, they would, it was kind of like you weren't working unless you were, considered essential, So I was like, what else am I going to do? I guess I I was chilling, and, you know. But I ain't gonna lie, it was getting kind of like cabin fever like in there. So, you know, at some point, I know after they decided they was gonna cut the stimulus from a lot of people, that's when I started to look for some work. Well, actually, let me see. I think the V2K started. Yeah, the V2K had already started by the time, before I even got this job. My V2K started in October of 2020. You know, I believe the introduction to all this, damn it. I hate when I gotta stop, especially when I got a lot on me, because then I gotta get the momentum going again. Anyway, so as I was saying, you know, V2K didn't start until like October of 2020. I was living at 1490 Boone Avenue in the Bronx, right? Then, but in March, it was some, you know, I tell this in my original, in my first video, how there was some incident with some guy. I don't know what he did or what happened or took place in that apartment down the hall, but some woman came running out into the hallway screaming, "Someone call the police, he hit me." You know, me and my friend who was visiting from out of state, you know, we just happened to hear it, and she's like, "Chris, you should check it out and see what's going on." So I'm like, all right. So I look outside my window. I see him holding the woman's phone away from her. And, you know, when he seen me and my friend, she decided to come from behind me to go and check on her, right? Then after she went and checked on him, after she basically, after he noticed I stepped out into the hallway because my friend stepped out, because I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. So I ain't even really come. Yeah, I heard the V2K. They like, the streets will watch you. They don't trust you. And I'm like, I ain't never been running in the streets anyway. So I'm like, that don't apply to me, you know? So basically, yeah, that was basically somebody trying to send me a message, you know. But at the end of the day, we're living in a death culture right now. So a lot of people dying, whether it was intentional or not. You know, people just dying left and right. And I ain't talking about no virus. You know, we know how they taking people out for real. We know what it really is, you know. Right now, targeted individuals are basically walking like a Christ faith walk right now, you know. And getting back to the story, so, you know, the police were eventually called, and, you know, I try not to think much about it, because it was like my friend, who normally has her cell phone on her, she didn't have her phone, or at least I think she didn't have her phone on her. So she goes, "Chris, let me get your phone so I could call the police." So I didn't even really think much about it. I just gave her my phone, right? So, you know, the police were called eventually. Then what happened after that? I don't know. It was just like maybe a few weeks later, or maybe I don't know, probably like 2 or 3 weeks later, I start noticing some strange things happening, like, you know, a woman's voice screaming out, "Woo!" at like the most random time, especially like when I'm watching something. So like if I'm focusing on something, I would always hear these like strangely timed noises, right? I didn't know what to think of it. But I didn't realize at that point I was being brain mapped, you know. But anyway, so you saw how close I was to that bus? Anyway, So yeah, I ain't know I was being brain mapped and being noise campaigned and all that. I wasn't feeling any attacks or anything back then. It wasn't until I decided, like, you know, when the V2K was threatening my life and whatnot, and they were trying to tell me, oh, you know, you're not supposed to, what was it? They was like, you're not supposed to use your, they was like, you're not supposed to use your hotspot in this building. And I was like, the fuck you mean I'm not supposed to use my hotspot in this building? Why is he still trying to inch over, seeing me trying to come down? But anyway, they're like, you're not supposed to use your hotspot in this building. At this point in time, and you know, with everything that I learned about targeting, I realized what they were doing is basically trying to condition me to following instructions, right? And they didn't start like attacking my body then yet. At that point, it was still just like messing with my electronics, because they was like, you know, oh, you're not, you know, supposed to be using your hotspot. You can't do this with your phone, da da da. So, I'm thinking to myself, yo, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna go to a hospital, get an MRI, whatever, see if they can help. Lo and behold, that was probably the defining moment when I realized this was a lot bigger than what I thought, right? You know, that was when I realized damn near, you know, almost every person in the hospital, whether they were a visitor, a patient, a doctor, a nurse, you know, patient transfer person, whatever, everyone basically showed their face when, you know, I told, like, the nurse who was asking me questions about, you know, what I was experiencing, when I told him I was hearing voices in my head, you know, now I know it was basically acoustic transmissions, or acoustic signals being transmitted into the brain. That's when I realized, I was like, all right, there's something much, much bigger happening here, you know. But anyway, so, but even before I even got to the hospital part, it wasn't until I had that dream. It was like I know it was dream manipulation, because the strange part was, I think I had the dream before that March incident happened. I had the dream like someone, you know, some like slim, you know, light-skinned brown or light-skinned black dude was like standing in my house, and they were plotting on, like, I guess doing something to me in some way. I'm gonna let this bus go, because I'm like, but anyway, so I was just basically like, you know, he came to me in my dream with this whole negative dark matter energy surrounding his whole body, and you know, that I thought I was in sleep paralysis, because I was in the dream I was sleeping on my couch like I normally do, but in my living room, and he was standing over my body, and I couldn't move and I couldn't speak. But it wasn't until I said the glorious name of Jesus, I just said one word, like it was one word that popped in my head, and once that word popped in my head, that was the only word I was able to speak in that dream. I said Jesus, and I woke up from that dream like the snap of my fingers or a blink of an eye. That's when I sat up on my couch. I sat up on my couch, and I was just like, yo, there is something about to happen. There's something coming, and I need to start preparing myself for it. And I think, lo and behold, God already had me prepared for all this for my entire life. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that I already knew that when something that dark and sinister was about to happen, I just knew automatically to just call on Jesus when it's something that seems that dark and that evil, something I probably never really experienced before. I just knew automatically. It was like instinct for me to say, Jesus. And I was like, yo, when I woke up, I was like, Lord, the devil almost had me. and you know what? Every single day since then, I've been aligning myself to get closer and closer to God. And I kid you not, it makes so much more sense now. You think about how they basically are creating they're creating these mass shooters, they're creating them. They're influencing people's minds. They're messing with people's energy. They're doing so much against people that they are so unaware of. And like, I've never really been a religious person. I've never really been someone that really talks so much about like I've always been a believer of God and you know, Jesus and everything. But I ain't never really been one to be going around like really pushing it, you know. But it wasn't until the devil tried to send his army to try to convert me. The devil was like, look, he's almost there. We almost got him. We just got to push him. We got to put some fear in his heart so then we could get him to do what we want. Then when they was like, you wasn't supposed to tell nobody. You wasn't supposed to tell the doctors about us or blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't know what God y'all serve, but y'all sure ain't serving the God that I know. And I was like, man, look, to God be the glory, because I kid you not, my energy and my spirit ain't never felt so much stronger than it ever has in my entire life. And you know, I gotta tell you this. I'm like, when I say this, I'm not even trying to like just be, I don't know, extra or whatever, but you have to actually, in order for you to truly know who God want you to be in this world, you have to go through suffering. You have to go through pain. You have to go through knowing that there's a ton of people out there hating on you. If you ain't got somebody hating on you, Kevin Hart, Cat Williams said it. He said, if you ain't got no haters right now, then you ain't doing something right. If you don't got nobody trying to threaten you, especially if you always just been minding your business, doing the right thing, just being an honest, genuine, loving person, and you still ain't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. That means I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I have always had this very great energy about me, and people have always told me that. People have always been telling me that my entire life. Hey, in high school, I was voted most friendliest. I was voted most friendliest in the yearbook. I was voted most friendliest, and I forgot what the other one was, but it had something to do with most friendliest and nicest. I remember them. I was voted most friendliest and nicest, and it's just interesting that, like, of all the people this could happen to, and you think about the type of people that get targeted, they purposely come after those who they think are weak. They purposely come after those who are supposed to be like, you know, they expect you to be frail. They expect you to not fight back. They expect you to be scared. They expect you to basically just be timid, you know. Now, just because I'm nice don't mean I'm not going to defend myself. Just because, you know, I'm not out here repping gangs and I'm not walking around with weapons and stuff like that don't mean I won't defend myself. Just because I'm not out here calling women bitches and doing all this other stuff don't mean I'm not, you know. It's like, and that's the part where they got it all wrong. That's the part where they got it all wrong. They really messed up But they didn't mess up. They actually woke me up. And I thank God. I thank God, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have come into the knowledge of so many things that let me know just how powerful I really am. And then when I start to get to know other targeted individuals and getting to know a lot of other people who are, you know, like at least their personality types and who's being attacked in this sense, that's when I realized, yo, that time is coming. That time is coming where there's going to be a universal shift in everything, you know, between good and evil. And, you know, for the last few decades, we've been noticing hatred and violence and you know, over sexuality and everything just running rampant. I mean, it's just been running rampant, you know. And I realized, I'm like, yo, this is definitely that time where people need to start getting aligned with the Creator. If you don't, I'm like, look, you ain't gotta be a Christian, a Muslim, you know, whatever, Jewish. You don't gotta be all those things. But you do need to have love in your heart, because God is a, I think I'm passing my, yeah, it's somewhere over here, but God is basically the main source for everything dealing with, wait, hold up, let me deal with this first. All right. Yeah, so, I mean, they really thought that they were just going to intimidate me using technology, frequencies, and things I didn't really know about before, right? But I asked God to give me the strength to be able to, you know, endure whatever's happened, overcome whatever that they're doing, and help me understand how is the enemy doing all these things. And more each day that I kept being vigilant, kept being studious, and I just kept learning. I kept telling myself, I'm going to figure this out. God is going to help me figure it out. And then I, you know, even more interestingly enough, I started learning about angel numbers. And, you know, it's been said that, you know, we all have guardian angels, but you have to call on them, right? You call on your guardian angels to help you, right? And, you know, I've been getting all kinds of signs from all kinds of signs and numbers just letting me know that, like, you're on the right path. Keep going. Don't worry about what they think they're going to do. Just keep doing what you know is right. So I'm like, cool, bet. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And, let me see, this is my next building, but I'm sure there's probably a service entrance they want me to go to. Yeah, so all I can say is I don't take no credit for anything that I've been learning to do, because I've been asking God to help me every step of the way. I've been asking the holy angels to help me every step of the way. You know, I thank God for my mother for being so strong, because she never told me that she was being targeted. And when I started telling her about what I was experiencing, I think in her I think she basically started to, like, kind of like, she started to give me that energy, like, dang, I guess they're coming after him now, you know. And I was just like, wow, all this time I didn't know. You know, I didn't really know about, you know, target. Like, I knew about, like, you know, like racial profiling targeting, or like, you know, if you knew of a pedophile ring, they'll target you, and, you know, journalists will get targeted. But I didn't know that there's beings in the form of a human body basically targeting people based on their character. Like, this is character assassination. And then on top of that, now they're using technology to see your actual, like, okay, this is Now they're using technology to basically look into your DNA to find out the type of person you are and figure we need to destroy this person's spiritual energy. We need to corrupt them because this is the type of person that's going to come against us when we're so close to having complete rule over the entire world and humanity. Let me do this real quick. I'll be back. So, yeah. And you know what? I still laugh at how they were like after I went to the hospital, right, thinking the doctors will help me, right? They was like, now since you told the doctors about us, you either gonna become a police officer or you gonna be a snitch to the whole city. And I'm like, snitch to the whole city? I'm like, who the hell am I snitching on? I don't know nothing about anybody. And for the most part, I ain't never been a snitch a day in my life. So I was like, what is happening here? And then, God willing, everything started to open up to me. And I started to realize, man, look, these people out here are into some real deep, dark stuff. And you know what? It's centuries old what we're experiencing. It's centuries old. They just been waiting for the perfect time, the most opportune time to unleash these weapons against people. They just been waiting for the opportunity to basically do all this stuff. Remember, it wasn't until Tesla basically well, I don't want to say he discovered scalar energy. I don't want to say all that. But he was like one of the first like scientists to really like bring it to the forefront of people's knowledge about it, And then the funny thing was they were discrediting Tesla, right? They were discrediting Tesla about, the science between, scalar energy, the transfer of electrical, charges without using wires and cables and stuff like that. They was discrediting him. Then when he died, all of these like secret societies and these the Germans and everything, they all started, Soviet Union, they all started rushing to get his notes and his studies. Like, look, and as they're saying that now, they're attacking my heart. I'm like, look, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I ain't going nowhere until I finish what God has me out to do in this world. So they could keep on trying all they want. It ain't gonna matter for nothing. But anyway, so basically, where was I? Let's see, are they trying to cross now? Yeah, let me get through. All right. So yeah, like I said, I give all the credit to God that I even, was able to like find out about all this information. And the funny thing is, right? The funny thing is, they all like to say things along the lines of like, they said go to 86 Broadway for the service entrance. They like to say, he be talking shit about people, da-da-da. But I'm like, I ain't never really been somebody to just talk about people. If you doing something immoral or something that's like, something that, like, I don't know, like, there's certain things you just gotta be like a hard no to. There's certain things you have to just be like, that's a hell no. Like, there's certain things that you just cannot, like, let slide. You see how they're creating laws for people who basically engage in pedophilia? That's a hard no. But you know what? You think about who's basically ruling the world now, and look at what's happening. We got all these different people doing all these corrupt things, these vile things to people, to children that just got into the world. I mean, these kids, like, it's amazing. It's amazing what they do. And then on top of that, you come to realize and find out that parents are giving over their children. They're sacrificing their children. Why? I don't know, maybe because they're afraid to go through pain. Maybe they're afraid of being ostracized. Maybe it's, at the end of the day, it's fear-mongering. It's fear-mongering. And you know what? I realized you can't be saved because remember, we're not just flesh and bone. We are spiritual bodies. We are energy beings. And they're trying to control that part of us. They have been doing their research, and they basically realized, well, if we took, devices and weapons to basically work and manipulate the spiritual energy of every human being on the planet, then we can basically be an entire population of people that controls, another population of people. I'll be right back. Yeah, so, yeah, and I'm like, I don't even remember where I left off at, but, okay, I gotta go down there. So, alright, don't get nauseous while I'm riding. Yeah, I don't even remember what I was last saying, but anyway, yeah, y'all, it just dawned on me, and I had to say it out loud. I was like, the devil really thought he had me though. And I'm so thankful that I never got completely lost in the world. Like, I wasn't, how like in the Bible, it's in Ephesians, they talk about those who are dead in their transgressions. I'm just like, wait, where is 70? Oh, 75 is there. So is there a service entrance somewhere? But anyway, yeah, I'm just like, I'm so glad that I'm not dead in my transgressions, because who knows, if I would have just did what they told me to do, who knows what else they would have asked me to do, the type of things. Let me see. I don't know if I'm not sure where I'm supposed to enter in. I might have to go to the front and ask them. But all right, let me get back to y'all, because there's a lot of people out here, and this is why I like the early morning, because no one's really outside. So I know I gotta go into this building, but I need to know where the service entrance are. All right. So yeah, I don't even remember where I be leaving on sometimes. Between them modulating the neurons in my brain remotely and everything, and then having to stop and pause and do this and whatnot. But anyway, yo, you know what's funny? So the more I learn, right? The more I learn and the more aware I am. Because, I'm going to tell you this. I think what makes me even much more of a threat, at least one of the things, is that I notice every ounce of gaslighting. I notice, you see? You notice how the timing of how I say, I notice every ounce of gaslighting, and then at the very moment that it leaves my mouth, all of a sudden you hear this non what's the term? This non understandable babbling and yelling that just happened. Right. I know this looks fun, right? That's why I love this job. Plus it's like it's hard to really like job mob or manipulate unless someone literally within my area, like they like either tamper with the bike, and I just happen to not be around it. But then if something happens to me on company property, then that means I could possibly sue the company. So they're not going to draw that much attention to themselves. Or like, you know, I could probably like leave my bike somewhere and then next thing you know, a package or a whole bin ends up missing or something like that. But then that's, you know, I'm delivering in New York, so you could kind of almost chuck that up to almost like, you know, anything really. Plus, when I leave the lot, they already see me, you know, because there's cameras inside the lot. So they see me going through the bags, or at least counting the bags or separating the bags. I always leave with 9 bins. So if I'm missing a bin, then it's like, well, you saw me on camera leave with 9 bins, you know, my bins, right? But anyway, so turn my gear up. So, yeah, what else? But yeah, like I've been definitely noticing a lot more. They're starting to show their face a little bit more because now I think I'm making them nervous, you know. And I told you I'm an empath. Like I've definitely realized I am an empath. So not only do I sense people's emotions before they can even tell me how they truly feel, I can feel the energy coming off of a person. And you know, I've been reading up a little bit more. And I even asked the Microsoft Bing AI chatbot about you know, human auras or the bioelectric energy sensors that basically can detect bioelectric energy remotely and all these things. I kid you not, ever since, I feel like that was one of the best things that could happen to me during this whole journey and process, is realizing I can use the AI to my advantage. Because remember, everything in this world is a tool. It's about the intention behind what you're using it for. So there's like all these medical technicians and tech companies that's creating these studies for these devices and things that's supposed to be used to heal people, or it's supposed to be used to, like, I don't know, make surgery safer or with little to no error. But you know, when you also know that throughout history, the Department of but you also notice that the Department of Defense also contracts out to these, you know, if not the same individuals who are creating these devices, but similar people who, you know, they realize they can, you know, they can weaponize it, right? You know? And I believe, well, I don't know if the Soviets were the first to try to weaponize scalar energy, but yeah. But we do know that after World War II, the United States brought over all those Soviet scientists to help develop the technology here in the States. But we're beyond that, because just about every, you know, powerful nation that's advanced for their society has these weapons, and they're using it against their own citizens. But you can't even really call it their own citizens anymore. They're using it against people that that do not cooperate with corruption. They're using it against people that do not cooperate with, you know, things that basically God would, you know, frown upon. They're using it against people, spiritual people. I mean, think about this. In China, right? In China, their police basically, wait, I feel like I know that guy. No, I probably don't. I don't know. People just be looking like each other now. But yeah, in China, they have I've been hearing, or at least I have, like I've been heard about this, about how they have like special type of police that supposedly, they basically try to control and like anyone who tries to like leave and go into the astral projection realm or whatever. They have special police that basically like beats them back into their body, and I'm like, what? And then I was also brought to the attention, or it was brought to my attention in another video where they have a special, like, well, it's a group of people called I think they're called Uyghur people. I think it's pronounced or spelled URGHYER. I forgot how to spell it, but these people, they're supposed to be like the most peaceful and quiet type people. They don't bother nobody. They're like masters of meditation and stuff. But come to realize that these people are also, they're not just only masters of meditation, but they have also basically mastered, you know, the understanding of, you know, like energy, and the manipulation of energy and the proper usage of energy, to the point where they said that, at least this is what's mentioned in a 1983 U.S. Army document, that these people are so powerful with their meditation, if they wanted to, they could actually take out, and this is through Zen meditation. They said if they wanted to, they could literally take out an entire army just through meditation. When I heard that, I was like, you know what? That reminds me of the walls of Jericho, right? You know, if you know the story of the walls of Jericho, I don't know every detail, but about how, you know, I think how it goes is like soldiers, they basically were outside the wall. And no, that's different. That's different. Because I think that was mostly because like there was specific frequency from all of the soldiers yelling in unison or chanting or whatever. Or I forgot what they were doing. But they were actually able to bring the walls down because I think what happened with that wall is that there was a frequent, like a resin, like the volume of what they were doing, it resonated with the walls, and the vibrations of the noise they were making actually brought down the walls, like cracked it and broke it down. But anyway, so yeah, like they have like these Uyghur people, right? Apparently they've been getting massacred. Like they've been getting like you know, killed off because, you know, obviously, you know, it's China and it's very, very, you know, for lack of better words, dominating over there. I'll just say that. What it's kind of baffling to be like, wait, so they actually are massacring, they're annihilating a group of people because they meditate? So, and it got me thinking about how, like, you know, when I was in church, right? Both times I went to church, right? I'm sitting in there and this is, and it was like, it was almost, they didn't really start they didn't really start hitting me until like I remember when I went to the Bible study, the attacks weren't that bad. But then after the Bible study, it wasn't until I went into the praise and worship, the worship part, and you know, where the singing and you know, you're praising God and whatnot. And then I started to like resonate, and I started to feel, you know, like they say, the Holy Spirit flowing through me. And I'm like, yo, let me see. Oh, snap. Let's see. Am I good to go? Yeah, I think I'm good to go. All right. So yeah, it wasn't until I started to like, cause I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was in my head a little bit, cause I was like, man, I'm just trying to receive a message, da da da. And as I'm like in there trying to be there, and I'm trying not to acknowledge the different mixed energies within this church, because I mean, we all know that even the churches are infiltrated with people who are, you know, not necessarily there for God per se, you know. But it was like I'm in there trying to get my spirit right, and as I'm starting to try to like resonate with the, you know, the songs and the and everything, I'm feeling them beaming me from my cell phone. And every time I try to like resonate with what's happening, you know, spiritually, the frequencies get even more and more intense. Like the beams just start burning intensely. And I'm just thinking to myself like, wow, damn, he is not gonna let me pass. You know, and I'm feeling the beams just burning me. So I think to myself, let me turn my phone off, because if I turn my phone off, maybe that'll reduce the intensity. But no, that did not reduce the intensity. Because why? The battery of the phone still had a charge. So as long as the phone has a charge, they can still use the radiation coming from the battery. Now, sadly, I have an iPhone. Now I remember now that like when I was in the very beginning, when I was like going through the Target, and I thought like, I realized a lot of the stuff that they were doing were, you know, they were using my cell phone. At the time I had an Android. I had a Galaxy S4, I think, and or Galaxy S5. And I remember them saying, and then I remember I was like, you know, I know how I'm gonna get rid of them. I threw my phone I threw my phone in the ocean, right? I threw my phone in the ocean, and then I remember hearing him go, "He's stupid. We still here." So I was like, "Oh man." So I was like, now I got to get a new phone. So I messed around and I got an iPhone. And then I remember hearing the main one. I call him Michael. I don't know what his real name is, but I know where his mama live at. So I'm hearing him. He's like, oh, he got an iPhone. He's stupid. It's a wrap now. And that's when I realized you can't take the battery out of an iPhone. And I was like, oh man. And I done converted the majority. Well, I mean, I could always make the switch at any point. Because at this point, I've learned to let go of most material things. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, you can't move up more. All right, let me see if I can. All right. So, and I'm thinking to myself like, oh man. So they like, yeah, he got an iPhone now. So I'm like, oh, so I realized I messed up. Because now I can't even take the phone. I can't even take the battery out the phone. I'll get back to you. All right, so finished all my deliveries for the day. So I'm riding down West Street, aka West Side Highway. Those of you who are watching from New York, y'all already know what it is. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just keep this one pretty short and just like get to the point of what I really wanted to make this video about. So I've been doing a little bit more research, and like I've been telling people, I've been dabbling with the Microsoft Bing AI chatbot because it's interesting. And I was saying this to myself at home, and also I've been telling other TIs this. I was like, they created these AI chatbots to make it easier for people to do research and stuff, right? So I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? What if I type in the right types of questions, right? And then the AI is smart enough to, it's going to basically search the entire internet or whatever websites it does have access to. And it's going to find just about any information it can about whatever it is that you're looking for, right? So I said, all right, I'm gonna just start typing in questions, and the more information that I know, the more specific I can make the questions. And some responses can be repetitive. Look at all of this. Look at all of this. Chemtrails, they're poisoning us every day, filling us up with these nanobots and chemicals that basically is like overstimulating the nervous system, poisoning the cells of our bodies. And then who they basically are trying to make sure it doesn't have an effect on is everyone who's a part of their secret society, their augmented transhumanist society. And I asked the chatbot a lot of questions, and it like I say, with every response it gives, it always has a hyperlink leading to its source where it got its information. And then a lot of the sources are either .gov, .org, .edu, whether it's published articles from peer-reviewed research sites. I forgot what is it? One of them is like pub. What is it? MED or something like that. I forgot. But anyway, and as I'm trying to maintain my train of thought, because they know that if they can disrupt the neurons from firing properly while I'm speaking, I'll be forgetting everything that I want to say. So I'm gonna just go ahead and kick it straight forward, right? So I realized that through my questions I was asking, a lot of these sensations and the pains that we're dealing with is, simply put, the overstimulation and manipulation of the nervous system. So I started to break it down a little bit more. I was like, okay, what actually helps neurons fire? What actually gets the transmitters going? And then I came across what's called calcium ion channels. And those of you who've taken biology or physiology, chemistry, stuff like that, what calcium ion channels are. It's basically charged calcium, I think, particles or something like that. I'm learning just like everybody else. And what it is these charged particles, they are broken down, I believe, or they come from, within the bones. Remember calcium. The bones produce these calcium ions, and then what eventually happens is those ions are then used to help fire signals throughout the nerves, and like nerves and cells and muscle tissue, stuff like that. And so I thought to myself, okay, radiation basically splits atoms. Radiation basically breaks apart molecules. It breaks tissue down. So when you think about it, the radiation simply is the radiation basically is forcing the body to release more calcium ions that's needed, or at least this is what I believe is happening, right? And if too much of it is flooding into the body, and it's going, too much of these calcium ions are going into the nerves and going into the cells and tissues of the body, then what do you think is going to happen? An overexcitation, right? So then what they then do is they are taking these infrared sensors that can modulate just how much energy is being, directed into specific areas or different parts of the, brain and whatnot. They can even like, let's say, flood or I'm trying to find the best way to explain it without losing my train of thought. It's like they can basically cause the neurons to be let me see. They basically use the sensors to flood the neurons in the nerves. So when the nerves, which also send the signals to the brain that you're in pain, once those become overstimulated, then it's like, all right. So then it's like, well, once that's happening, that's when you start to realize, like, they're beaming me in this spot, because they're concentrating those ions into that specific spot, so they're overloading the nerves. That's why, when you think about, golly, they're like, all right, I'm trying to keep my train of thought, and every time I when I told you guys about how whenever I open my jaw and whenever I open my jaw at a certain degree or angle, it's almost like this channel of like gas or something. It starts to flow from my skull, then through the side of the head, somewhere like from behind the ear, and then it seeps into the mouth, almost like there's a gland that it escapes through. Once it does that, I feel the release of the pressure, right? And that gas, it's hotter than the breath that actually comes from. It's actually hotter than the carbon that's actually leaving from my lungs. It feels like it's a different temperature than when I'm exhaling from the lungs. So, with that being said, I'm riding in a circle because I ain't ready to go inside just yet. Because I want to get this video finished. So, as they're doing that, that's how we're feeling all the pain and whatnot. Now, I said, okay, there's this website that I use. It's called I don't know. I can post. I'll try to remember to post the website in the description box, and it basically is a list and description of numerous frequencies that you can use to help stimulate, normalize, and heal different parts of the body. Whether it's pineal gland, stimulating the healing of the bones, nerves, ligaments, whatever. They there's a number of different frequencies that it have, and I learned to just start plugging those frequency numbers into my frequency generator app on my phone. Now, sadly, I already know that they basically have been hacked, not have been, but they have hacked, or they have the ability to hack the app and actually change certain things or whatever about, the frequencies that are playing, or maybe they're actually, maybe it's like through my headphones too, that because the cell phone is basically putting out frequencies, even when we don't really notice that our cell phones are emitting sound that we can't necessarily detect or hear. I would plug in those numbers, and I would use like the said numbers as either carrier waves, or I'll put it in as for the beat along with a carrier wave. So, and they're telling me, oh, he obviously don't know what he's doing, da da da. And I'm like, that's granted, because I'm not a professional killer like they are. I'm not someone who basically is, has been taught by, some secret Nazis who would never disclose themselves to be Nazis, and like I'm a everyday regular citizen who is not no terrorist. I am just trying to defend myself by whatever means I can that will not incriminate me, right? Now, I feel bad for some other TIs, because some other TIs, they, if they don't really understand what's happening to them, they lose their cool, right? They lose their cool, and next thing you know, one of the things they think to do is they go out and they try to arm themselves. And that's one of the worst things you could really do, is arm yourself, because remember, most gang stalkers are not looking to physically cause harm to you. Why? Because if they were to try to physically cause harm, one, it could possibly be tracked back to them, and two, it gives away the illusion of them being a secret society, right? So this is the difference between them, and and notice how many people always kind of look over at me and whatnot. But anyway, I mean, it could just be because I'm on a bike going in a circle, but but it's like, you got to remember that we are being selectively chosen because they have been using this technology for decades. And I strongly, strongly believe that when a lot of people say that they feel like they've been targeted since they were born, or when some people do realize, or know since they were young that they were being targeted, it's because with these sensors, they have the ability to actually decode your DNA. And once they decode your DNA, they can see basically your lineage. They can basically see if you have specific things about your DNA that make you probably spiritually powerful, physically strong, or whatever the case may be. They basically can, see everything about who you are or who you can be before you're even born. And I thought about this, right? And think about it like this. Imagine this. Imagine how many people in this world could have actually been born to be like the reincarnation of, how God says how in the Bible it mentions the 144,000, warriors that are more than capable and strong enough to destroy any evil that presents itself, and that any type of, dark energy being that tries to go against God, right? Imagine they have the capabilities to actually go into the fetus and see exactly who this fetus might actually be, and realize, no, we cannot allow this person to know and understand who they truly are. So what do? They poison just about everything in our area. And this is why they would have like people who have been like grooming you since you were a child, or this is why they would, you know, try to like prevent certain women from having specific types of medical treatments done for them, especially when they're pregnant or when they're about to give birth. This is one of the reasons why they try to force drugs in certain neighborhoods, because they realize if people were to ever realize how powerful they truly are, because remember, you are a spiritual being. You are a spiritual being first before you're even a human. You got to remember that. You got to know this. You got to know this. You are an energy being that can harness the power of almost all energy throughout this entire universe. You can actually manifest things into your life. And what they are afraid of, and now I got the handlers, they're all in my head saying all kinds of, you know, Chris don't know what he's talking about. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, look, there's a reason why anytime I say the word Jesus or the name God, why my frequency raises. And then as my frequency rises, they try to modulate my frequency. They try to change something. They try to bring it back down. There's a reason why they're going to such great lengths to be able to manipulate a person without them ever knowing. If people actually understood and knew just how powerful you truly are as a human being, people would be manifesting so much wealth into their life just by themselves. And I mean, there's a reason why in China, they are basically imprisoning and even like killing these Zen meditation masters, because they know that even if they ever were to basically come into the realization that they need to defend themselves against, you know, against the world that it is today, they have this spiritual and mental capabilities of basically annihilating anyone that stands before them. And this is why they're being massacred. This is why many, you know, TIs are being, you know, drugged up. They're being tormented. This is why so many things are happening. You know, you think about these shooters that basically get the idea to go into a church and shoot up the congregation. Like, there's a reason for this. And it's because we are in the time where a Christ consciousness is supposed to take over, and it's supposed to help people come into their fullness, you know. So I'm just saying, like I learned that, you know, going back to the whole calcium ion channel thing, I found that on if you put in for a carrier wave of 346 hertz, right? 346 hertz. That is the frequency you would play for normalizing calcium metabolism, right? And I would put the 346 hertz as the carrier, and then the 7.83 as the beat. 7.83 is the Earth's natural resonant frequency. And that would basically, that frequency actually helps bring basically all your cells to some level of balance, you know, because, you know, we are a part of the Earth. You know, all these people who are transhumanizing themselves, they are stripping themselves from their connection to the Earth. And I've really been thinking to myself on this for quite some time, that when there will come a time where something in this universe is going to send a powerful signal towards Earth. And I believe if you're not resonated with the Earth, because the Earth itself, the Earth is going to survive humanity. No questions about it. The Earth is going to survive humanity. if you are not resonating with the earth, then there is no real, there's no real promise in anything, right? But I just feel like if you are not connected to the earth and you are not connected to nature in any way, if you're not grounded and you don't have like the most natural of DNA possible, whatever that signal is that's going to come from the universe and be thrusted upon the earth, it's going to basically destroy everything that is not organic. If you are not organic, whatever that signal is, it is going to destroy them, and there will be no way they can defend themselves. There will be nowhere for them to hide. Why? Because the energy is going to be so strong and so great, it is going to fry these people from the inside out. That's why I'm trying to do everything I can to find whatever things I can do to either detox myself of the nanotechnology or any chemical in my body that shouldn't be there. And I'm glad I actually did that quantum frequency resonant sensor scan. I'm glad I did that because it actually shows you your energy levels. It shows you it shows you your energy levels of your cells. It shows you what particles are in your body, what chemicals are in your body. It shows you everything. It shows you how much metal you got in your body. It shows you the electromagnetic radiation in your body. It shows you everything, right? So I'm like keeping in mind that no matter what they say or do, I'm going to keep moving in the direction that I feel God is pulling me in. If I knew that saying the name Jesus woke me up from a basically a sleep paralysis like dream, and every time I feel like I'm getting weak or I'm getting tired or something like that, and I just call on God and I call on Jesus and I call on the holy angels, and I feel myself being, I feel myself basically regaining my strength or regaining my equilibrium, or I feel myself becoming stable again. I feel my aura getting enriched again. I'm going to keep doing it. Why? Because that is just intuition. It's intuition. I am naturally connected to God. I am naturally connected to God. I am naturally connected to her. So no matter what, you gotta rely on something higher than yourself. I don't know how like TIs who are not like driven by God or anything, or God, or like I don't know how they're surviving if they're not staying connected to God. I don't know how they do it. But yeah. So I'm about to finally clock out. And I gotta go and check on my girlfriend, because yesterday she said she sent me a picture about her having a nosebleed, and she said the last time they did this, she said they started doing this when she had first got the job, with us here on the bikes. Well, I mean, we weren't always on the bikes, but when she first got this job, so that's also a clear sign that like they were basically trying to socially engineer her for something else too. And I also started to, I also learned that a lot of her past relationships might have been, a part of her program, because she realized like a lot of the people that she was in past relationships with, they were actually, some pretty toxic people, So, and then today she told me that her energy felt really low. She said, she feels like they've been beaming her a lot more. And granted, I told her that, I've been warning her. I was like, hey, just letting you know, the more you know, the more they're going to do to you, right? But just because if you were to stop, learning about what they're doing, that doesn't mean they're going to stop. That's why I'm not going to stop. Because there's no promise that if I were to stop doing what I'm doing, they're going to stop. They're not going to stop. So because they're not going to stop, because why? They have to keep you suppressed. They have to keep your energy suppressed. So I'm just letting you all know now, if something is working for you and you are finding your ways to get through it, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Do not stop. Do not give in. Just keep going. All right. Everybody, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.